I'd like to call to order the meeting for the Development Review Board, Town of Middlebury, for Monday, February 22nd, 2016. First item on the agenda, are there any public communications from the public on items that are not on the agenda tonight? Hearing none. Next item is the approval of minutes of 1:25:16. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion, comments, corrections?
I have some corrections to my own minutes. Okay, who read all 10 pages on my minutes? Thank you. You didn't find the corrections either?
No.
So, Jennifer, on line 148, whoops. These are just, it said, starting on line 147, Mr. Davis further commented that as per Mr. Wells, I think that should be apostrophe S.
Okey-doke.
And I think on the next one, line 228, 229, I think you made some corrections. That's start on 227. Jennifer Murray stated that staff could provide an interpretation of legal questions after the close of the hearing, but no other items can be accepted for introduction to the discussion after the close of the hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? It seemed like there was something not right there. But no other items can be accepted, can be introduced to the discussion after the close of the hearing.
Okay,
Is that all right?
that sounds better.
Yeah.
And then 247, there was a 4 that should, Mr. Neary responded that it would be used for storage, no, there would be picnic table undercover on the side for eating,
Mm-hmm.
rather than or eating,
Oh, yes.
and that's all I found.
Thanks.
Forget Joe.
Anything else from anyone? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Kevin,
Yes.
I abstained from one part of the hearing. Let the record indicate that I voted in favor of approving the minutes, only the applications of Neary and Fenn.
Okay, so noted.
And I did not vote because I was not here.
So noted. Okay, first item on the business agenda, an application by Stephen Wilson for a setback waiver to remove and reconstruct an existing garage within the rear setback. This property is located at 8 Kings Row in the MDR zoning district. Mr. Wilson? If you'd like to come forward and sit and give us a general,
Yeah.
yes. Somewhere here. I'm going to administer the oath, and everybody can go along with this. Do you affirm that the evidence and information you are giving in this proceeding is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Okay? If you would give us just a brief general.
Okay, I have an existing garage right at the moment that is in a very sad state of health, I should say. All the sill plates are kind of rotted out on the thing, and I'm looking to replace the building. And I want to replace it with a 2-car garage, and that's why I'm here, to try to obtain a waiver so I can build this garage.
Okay?
I understand I'm within 5 feet of my rear property line to the back of my existing building. And I have talked with Marvin Jones, who is my neighbor to the rear, and he does not have any issues with me putting the new building up in that same location, that close to the line.
Okay. Will the garage be larger than the existing one?
Yes, it will be. It will be a 2-car garage as opposed to a 1-car.
Okay. But the infringement on the back setback doesn't appear to be any greater than the existing garage, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
So am I right that to the extent the footprint grows, it grows towards your residence,
Yes.
not towards the back lot of the, it's widening, in other words, not deepening the garage?
Right.
Is that correct?
Any questions, comments from the board?
I was by there the other day just to take a look at their situation there, and it is, I mean, you're pretty well packed tight
Yes.
in there, and my only concern, you've answered that, was whether there was any issues with your neighbors, on the back or behind or anything, so.
Right.
For-
Like I said, I did talk to Marvin Jones, whose line is right there. He is the rear property owner. And we had actually done some measuring, I'm gonna say probably almost a year ago, when Mike Freeman was putting in his residence, which is right
Yeah.
between the two of us. And we had measured from one of his pins across the width of his property, and I put a stake in the ground. And then I ran a string from the other pin from the south side of my property, which is already there. The pin is already had been there. And that's how it came up with approximately 5 feet to the back of my garage. And like I said, he did not have any issues with me putting a new building there. And I am pretty tight. I mean, if I had to, I could probably move forward a little bit more.
Did we get anything from any neighbors?
Nope.
In response?
No comments.
Are there any questions or comments from the public? Jen, you have anything to add?
Nope, all the abutters got letters, but I didn't hear back from anybody.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the request.
Second. Go ahead.
Been moved and
I'm sorry,
seconded.
who's taking credit?
Scott beat me to
Scott.
it.
Okay.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Did you already pay me for a permit?
$60.
How about the 40 for the permit itself?
You sent the check back to me.
That's right. So let's redo that whole permit process now, and I'll get you the building permit, and you'll be good to go.
Okay.
Yep.
Do I need to contact you about that then?
Nope, you can send it in the mail like you do.
Okay.
Yep.
With a new application?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in.
Have a good night.
Okay, the next business item is an application by Roxana Emelo for a conditional use review of a proposal to reconstruct a non-conforming residential home which was destroyed by fire. This property is located at 664 Munson Road in the Forest zoning district.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna recuse myself from this hearing.
Okay, thank you. Roxanne, if you'd like to come forward and
He did
Yes.
for everybody.
Okay, if you would like to just give us a general idea on what you would like.
I'd just like to rebuild on the same spot, but a single family instead of a duplex.
Okay,
And I have a picture of like what it looked like before. I don't know if anyone wants to see that at all, but it would be smaller than the size that I had previously.
okay, so there will be one residential unit on the lot?
Yes, one on that lot, but I already have a permit, Jennifer, for the other.
Okay. So the footprint of this one will basically be the same. And the
Smaller,
design,
probably.
the design would be roughly the same,
Yes.
okay.
So I had trouble identifying what was going on for the picture from the plan image. So, and maybe this is a question for Jennifer. So the sort of dogleg south, that is the lot under consideration right now, and the dog leg north is the previously subdivided lot.
You see what he's asking, Roxanna?
I'm asking where we're talking about the two structures.
Okay, let me just put my glasses on so I can see this part.
Did everybody else understand this?
Okay, so here's,
So you're asking-
let's see, this is,
So
It's just this lot.
Emerald
He
Rock
noticed that
Sands
in
here.
his
Oh, okay, yep.
And then this is another Emerald
Yes.
Rock Sand going north?
right, that's my other house
So this
there,
is the one
but,
that was subdivided?
this
Oh,
was a
yeah.
long time ago, yeah, my
You didn't know
father,
that.
I inherited, well, part
So
of
it's
this,
this
and
one.
I paid my three
Okay.
sisters off, and I use this as a duplex, but there's also been pre-existing. So I was told I could split them, which I split the one over here, I have the permit for that, but where the fire was, I'd like to just have a one unit, not two.
So both of these
So the
show the
dog leg
same
has been
well,
split into
same
two lots.
septic.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks for explaining that.
So this is actually two lots?
No, it's just the one lot.
Oh,
Yep.
so where is that? Sorry.
David noticed that her name is also on the lot to the north, but that was subdivided a long time ago, and that's not involved in this application.
That's why, I thought that was the peeled off lot, but there's a property line in here. There's a building permit which implies a property line.
You're gonna have two structures on the same lot,
Okay,
which is a little unusual, but it's okay. It's allowed.
all right.
So it is allowed, and that was what the attorney said.
It was pre-existing, non-conforming. It wouldn't be allowed were it to be presented to us as new construction today, but it's grandfathered in. Is that what's happening?
I'm happy to explain the staff memo if you want, because this is a pretty complex application, as
Yeah.
as we know well, right?
Right.
So, in the past, there was a duplex on this lot. And in the past, this lot was in the ag rural district. What is it, about 3 acres, right?
Yeah, close.
Yeah, 2.9. And so then the lot got rezoned from ag rural to forest conservation, which gave it a new minimum lot size of 25 acres. But that's okay. There was a duplex house on it, but it was non-conforming now because it didn't meet the density requirements. And so then, unfortunately, there was a fire and that house burned. And so then Roxana wanted to rebuild the house, but as two different houses. So the duplex, which was 2 dwelling units, is now 2 dwelling units again in 2 different houses. And so I asked Benj Putnam, our attorney, how can we make that work? And he said, well, you could issue the first building permit for the first house using the provision for pre-existing small lots, which says that even when you change the zoning district, if you have a pre-existing small lot, which is smaller than the zoning allows, you can still use it for its intended use. So he said that would be one house there. So we went ahead and processed that building permit in December, I think. So now this is the second house. Ben said, well, you could do the second house using the provision in the regulations for houses that burn. So what is it called exactly? It's rebuilding after catastrophe. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just reading it.
And the rebuilding after catastrophe provision says that if you have a non-conforming structure, which this was because it didn't meet the minimum lot size because of the density requirements, if that burns, it can be rebuilt if you get a conditional use approval from the DRB and the DAC. And I've quoted that section of regulations in the staff memo for you so that you can also interpret it. That was just Benj's interpretation. So it says any restoration or rebuilding which results in a modification of exterior features shall apply for conditional use approval pursuant to section 540, that's your conditional use provisions, and design advisory review pursuant to section 530. So I didn't send it for design advisory review. We can do that if you decide you need to, but it just felt like overkill to me because it's out in the country and no one's really gonna see it. But we can do that extra step if you decide to. And then I went ahead and said conditional use because it says modification of exterior features. We weren't really sure what that meant, but when you look at the picture of what's proposed for the new house versus what the old house looked like, it's hard for me not to say that there wasn't any modification of exterior features, so here we are. So the question is, if you looked at this new house that's being built now and you ran it through your conditional use review criteria, do you see anything that is glaringly off, or would you approve it?
I don't see anything. Is there any questions, comments from the board?
The the new one's actually smaller than the old one.
Yeah, it's gonna be smaller than this. Yeah, because this was a lot bigger that I had there.
How does the size compare though between the two buildings and the one original?
I have no idea because I don't know what I'm gonna do exactly with the other one yet. It was a mobile home, but it also could be a small house, so I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with that yet, for sure. But this is where I'd like to get the foundation done as soon as possible, so I can put something there first. And that's why I've been waiting for the meeting to be able to do that. Because they had to tear up part of the whole concrete, everything had to be torn up.
I'm not sure if that's relevant, because the permit for that other house, if you're trying to add the one that she already has a permit for to this one, that one was issued under the pre-existing small lots section of the regulations.
I was just thinking about what we talk about with so there was this one building, and now she's gonna have two,
But I had
and
to.
one of them's approved. But you have two now?
No, I have nothing now.
There
Nothing.
was only this one structure on the property before, right?
But it was two. They said I could only
Right.
have two dwellings on the property, two different, I can have two or one together.
Right, but it was one
So-
building, and it was two
Well, there was
families.
there was another one there before on the other, but that went away. I took it to the trailer.
I think the point that Detman makes in his memo to you
Putnam.
is that, Putnam, sorry, is that the criterion, the measure that's regulated in this case of the second unit is the dwelling units per acre.
Right.
That we don't regulate the footage. The footage will be indirectly regulated by the setbacks. And by DAC if they got involved.
So as
Because
far as,
I was struggling with the same thing, like I was trying to find the footprint of this thing. But,
Like we talk about, if we're making things more non-conforming,
yeah,
and it seems like two structures automatically makes it not more non-conforming, unless, to me, just common sense says that if they were both, if the size of the two was about the size of the original, then
The nonconformity was
then
not,
maybe we can't consider that.
the nonconformity was not the size of the structure. It wasn't like lot coverage or something. The nonconformity was the number of dwelling units allowed per acre.
Just out of curiosity,
Okay.
when
So it
when
was
did this
two, and now
get
it is
changed
two.
from ag to forest?
I
Any idea?
don't have the number until
I never was
2010, I
notified
think, or
ever.
2012, maybe?
The last plan, I think.
Yeah.
A question, Jen, would both of these houses qualify for accessory apartments on them as well?
That's right, yep. Yep, because you can add an accessory apartment regardless of density requirements.
Okay.
Yep,
that's the 700 or 700 foot, 750 apartment.
400 square foot.
400, excuse me.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Any comments from the public? Is there a motion? Is there not a motion? Is there a question? Questions?
I'll make the motion. It's been reviewed by the town attorney. I'm comfortable with it. I'll make the motion to approve it.
There's a motion to approve the application by Roxanne Emilo. Is there a second to the motion? I will second the motion. Is there further discussion? Comments? questions?
My question is, someone would explain to me a little more about the accessory apartment. I mean, we could conceivably end up with a 4-unit family in 2 houses, correct?
The accessory, I'm not sure, I'd have to look back at the accessory, but does the accessory apartment have to be members of the,
Same family.
same family?
The property owner has to live on, yeah, the property owner has to live, is it on the parcel or is it in the primary structure or the apartment? Let me check that. But presuming you had the right ownership, you could have 2 primary dwellings and 2 accessory apartments, which would
Right.
be 4 dwellings.
That's the only thing that kinda hangs me up a little bit.
But I think that that's only, it's only because we're looking at 2 happening at once. But this rule has already been made that if you have a dwelling unit that fits the other criteria of that ordinance, of that rule, then you can have, every one becomes a 2. So any project that we're looking at creating a lot, we're looking at the possibility of 2 dwelling units under that accessory.
So once we issue the permit, they could make they could make 4 1,000 square units, right? I mean, the accessory speaks to so many square feet.
Mm-hmm.
But anyone could do that.
Hmm?
Almost anyone could do that.
Well,
That's a
but-
consequence of creating a lot, yeah.
But we're also in a forest district too. The non-conforming.
But it's pre-existing small lot,
Right.
so.
And unfortunately, every single family home is entitled to an accessory unit, and that's just state law.
Not in my development, it isn't.
So like David's saying,
And not in
maybe
most
like you're saying,
development
that's
either.
the consequence of creating a second dwelling. There's not gonna be a new lot created.
It's not unique to, right, of creating the dwelling.
Mhm.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
So it's granted. So now you have approval to apply for the building permit.
I did pay you ahead.
I don't remember.
Okay, I did, the 60 and 40.
Oh, you already did?
Yes, you had me pay you. I think I have a receipt for it right here.
Okay. I see so many, sometimes I don't remember.
Right here, there's 2 of them. This is what I have. You need to see them?
That's what it was supposed to be. Yeah.
Okay, great, so I'll just, I'll set
read
that
it.
in it, drop it in the mail.
Thank you so much.
I'll mail it to you, right?
That was
Yes,
the
thank
original
you very
ones,
much.
Or 99.
Really
That's for
appreciate it.
Arby's.
Arby's.
Before we close this item on the agenda, can I ask, so what do we need to do to work out the absurd condition that Benjamin Putnam lays out here? Do we need to ask the planning commission?
Which one? There were a few in that regulation that were really hard for
So-
me.
At the end of his note, which I didn't catch in the beginning because it's beyond the images,
Mhm.
he says theoretically someone who owns a 1-acre lot that predated zoning could argue that she can build 10 houses on this lot because 4412 section 2 allows the lot to be developed notwithstanding the minimum lot size in this case, he says 250 acres. It's the second to last
Yep.
third from last paragraph
Yep.
in his note.
I would say the answer to that depends on if that's a regulation that we made up, that we can make more prescriptive, or if that's a regulation that we just took from state law, in which case it would have to be the attorneys interpreting that consistently over time. It would be It'd be good to start a list, though, of things like this that we'd like to tell the planning commission need to change.
All right,
Yeah, and that's definitely one of them.
so moved. I think that's a big one.
Yeah, that can be.
If it's really a legitimate, if that's not just being lawyerly, if that's a legitimate point that somebody could take it that way and take it to court that way, I think we should really clarify that if we can.
Even in that section 845 that talks about the rebuilding after catastrophe, I found it really hard to know what they meant by any restoration that results in modification of exterior features. Like, does that really mean any modification at all? Maybe that seems okay
Yeah.
to you guys. I don't know.
That sounds less disturbing to me, because that sounds like your standard giving yourself an in, giving the regulator an end to a project that has other controversial features.
Yep.
Like, I get it, it's ambiguous, but it
Right.
doesn't have the same kind of runaway possibility as the other problem that Mr. Putnam identifies.
All right, good point.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is application by Brian Collins of something that I'll let him pronounce, for a conditional use review of a proposal to construct a new one-story pediatric dental office
That was a dentist office.
located at 132 South Village. Good evening.
Hi, thanks. I'm Brian Collins. I'm gonna let Chris speak.
Chris Hudson from Breadloaf.
Okay.
Trying to figure out where the car wash is going.
It was supposed to be mouthwash and it came out as car wash.
So we're here to discuss the one-story, roughly 3,480 square foot new pediatric dental office located in the South Village PUD. I'll refer to some drawings in just a moment. As Jennifer has indicated in your materials, we've been through design advisory to review the project. And so I'll give you a very quick overview using these materials. Can everyone see okay? So the project, Route 7 is located here. Project North is towards this corner of the sheet. We're looking at placing the building fairly comfortably on the MU3 lot, the last lot that is right along Route 7. People's Bank is right here, adjacent, and Key Bank is located right here for orientation. So we're really developing, at this point, the building and the planting surrounding the building, along with 9 parking spaces. These 2 light fixtures are existing. They're roughly 14.5 feet site lights that we will then match with a new site light right here and another one right here. We're going to be picking up the sidewalks as shown in white all along here and connecting to the existing sidewalks that are shown like this. One suggestion that was made by the staff was to perhaps eliminate the existing light fixture that's located somewhat awkwardly close to the property line, very close to the property line. And we believe that was developed at a time when this was previously approved through this process for a restaurant, which would have had additional parking in that area. The suggestion is to eliminate it, and what we propose to do is simply relocate it to one of the 2 fixtures here, since we're matching that same fixture anyway. So, in terms of stormwater, the project is previously approved. The last project was a larger impervious area, so we don't have to go through the stormwater permitting process. It's connected to municipal water and wastewater, so those are also fairly straightforward. There are some mechanical ground-mounted equipment located just to the north of the building. I'll show you what that looks like in the elevations in a moment. Those are going to be screened with a wood fence enclosure. The building is going to be a standing seam metal roof with a painted vertical shiplap siding with a reveal to create a shadow line and so on. You know, taking cues from Vermont vernacular, but kind of a modern, clean look, but also just trying to fit into the neighborhood. So standing seam roof, painted vertical siding, along with some horizontal clapboards punctuating these bays, and then a smooth metal panel shown in that sort of tan color. So this is the elevation right here that faces Route 7 with the 8-inch lettering for the building name. This volume right here is the main lobby. So south is in this direction. The People's Bank is right here. The Key Bank is located over here. We very purposely tried to mix up the massing to give it more presence on Route 7. It's one of the things that was commented on in design advisory. This is the elevation that faces the visitor parking. So that the main entry, the lobby, is in this point right here, with the main entry under this canopy. And then the north elevation with some mechanical louvers that we've created a small dormer, again, to kind of help that visual presence leaving Middlebury heading south. That's sort of what you'd see. And then the elevation looking from the south, looking north, right here at the lobby. So the floor plan is fairly straightforward. This entry vestibule into a waiting room reception, 4 operatories that are open to one another, and then 2 private operatories, some staff spaces, and then some support spaces. Fairly simple and straightforward. These are the views that you would see as you're heading north on Route 7. Again, simple massing, the bays that help to try to break down the overall building form. This image is looking from the People's Bank back towards the main entry here. So this is the lobby waiting area mass that's on the south end of the building. And then this bottom image is looking from Route 7 heading south. This is that mechanical louver that I just talked about. The mechanical screening would be down in this point here. One thing I did not highlight, I'll just talk on quickly, we've added, due to recommendation at Design Advisory, we've added a low kind of planting area with a stone wall to kind of help define the edge, or define the corner and transition, I suppose, from the Key Bank, as you're heading south. That's something that we've included. It's not, it's a very simple, perhaps pan stone wall. We haven't determined that exactly at this point, but not something that's a dry laid wall on a full frost wall kind of thing. More of a site element with plantings. That's the quick summary.
Thank you. Jen, is there anything that you wanted to add at this point?
Yep. So I got a couple emails today, and I don't know if everyone got a chance to read the emails, so we'll just talk about it real quick verbally. For the stormwater, I think you heard Chris say that we don't need to get a new permit for the stormwater because you're not increasing the impervious area. And then as far as outdoor lighting, you had a response today on the outdoor lighting, security lighting issue.
So we have the light fixtures that you saw in your package include the pole-mounted lights, which are matching that 14.5 foot. Those are going to be tied into the system for the whole South Village. So those will operate as they do now, and we will need at least one downlight that's located in the canopy for egress purposes, And then the second light, and that's a straight down light that's in your package. The other fixture is a LED cutoff light, a sharp cutoff light that's an egress fixture as well. And that's located right here at the staff egress door.
Sort of a sconce, right?
Yeah, it's a wall-mounted fixture. Yep. With a sharp cutoff. Those just, we would limit it just to those two lights.
And you had sent an email about the dumpster question.
Yes, so we would not be having a dumpster as part of this development, as part of this project.
Mm-hmm. There's some central receptacle somewhere
Yeah,
in
and
the beauty.
some of Brian's materials need to go out, medical waste anyways, it's,
They get contract picked up. They
Mhm.
have to be taken off-site and then incinerated, so.
So it's stored inside the building? Everything is gonna be
It
stored
is
inside
until
the
they
building?
pick it up, right, that
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
I have a question about lighting.
Mhm.
The elevation along Court Street, Route 7, will that be on 24/7 or?
no, we
will
actually,
Any lighting on the front?
No,
front of that? Okay.
there won't be any lights. We talked about perhaps illuminating the, the building sign, but we're not gonna do that either, so.
So the employee parking lot and your customer parking lot is all one?
Well, the thinking is that those are primarily gonna be, the 9 spaces that are shown there are primarily gonna be, visitor, or,
And how many people are staffed at your facility?
Me and 6, so 7 to maybe 8 people staff.
And where are you going to park?
There's existing parking in South Village along the, would be the western edge opposite the state office building. That's like communal parking for the village.
and actually, one of the comments that the staff, that Jennifer made, was regarding the easement, and that has been approved by the association pending this approval tonight. Then they'll go into formal writing of the easement approval for amenities such as that, the parking.
Jennifer, I think before your time, we approved a,
Yes.
what do I want to call
Condominiums?
it? No, the condos, just
Oh.
south. Remember we went out there and we walked that, I guess with
Right.
Ted or whatever, and I'm not sure what the status of that is and if that's going to happen, whether they're planning on using some of those parking spaces as well. I know it goes right along that whole west side. There's a lot of parking spaces down that I'll call it the western side of that property,
Mm-hmm.
behind the residences that are on Otter Creek Road there or whatever. So
I'm not sure about that, but I can tell you that the parking calculations for this kind of use only requires 9, and they show 9.
okay,
So anything else, I guess, is just gravy.
Well,
that's whatever it is. Okay, but
if you go down there on a busy day, trust me, there aren't many parking places left in front of or in the rear of that building. So,
But if they've met their parking requirement,
I know, it's like,
it's up to them to find a space.
And I also believe, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, that the staffing that Brian's discussing is overtime with a full,
Fully developed, yeah.
fully developed services.
Could I ask, are there any of the DAC basically gave you some ideas and an approval to come forward, but didn't want to see it again? Were there any elements of the DAC's commentary that you were not able to or not willing to incorporate?
No, the primary one, there was some discussion of, playing around with roof pitches and things like that we've accommodated. The primary one really was in talking about the materiality of the building, whether to put some stone across the, the face of the building itself, or perhaps as an alternative to place this site feature, which is what we've ultimately incorporated.
In the minutes, it sounded like Jim was asking about extending the sidewalk. Is that the first thing you mentioned?
We did that as well. Yeah, that connection has been.
That's the connection he's
Yes.
talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
This is this square right
I didn't know.
I believe that was it, Jen. I don't think there was anything else that was
Yeah, I was just scanning the minutes. I
identified.
didn't see
Sounded
anything.
like, yeah, the other stuff was pretty minor.
Right.
I just want to make sure that was the sidewalk in question.
Yeah.
And am I right that it doesn't, the front elevation, the setback of this building off of Route 7 or off the center line it doesn't match
here. I don't understand.
the bank to the right or the bank to the left?
We're actually aligning, well, our building is closely aligned with the face of the people.
The face of the building?
Yeah,
Oh,
yep.
okay.
Yeah, we don't have that illustrated here, but that was one of the intentional placements of the building, which worked within the setback limits and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have your own part.
Yeah, I can see. In this rendering here, you can see it's pretty well.
I mean, one of the things that we think is a benefit of this project over one of the previously presented restaurants is that, as we mentioned, there's less impervious area.
Yeah.
One of the prior proposals had paving that, is wrapping. This area is over here, and that
Yeah.
was all to be impervious at one of the, prior, when that was a restaurant proposal. So having that green belt or that green space between Key Bank and this building, we think is gonna set the building very nicely, in that setting.
Hopefully you'll be able to do some seating or something there, because it's rather bare right now.
Right.
The topography looked a little funny on that site. It looked like a
Right.
bit of a challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
There's like a
We're actually-
depression right there in the
well,
middle.
This point, but.
Yeah, it does slope from the Key Bank down several feet, and we're actually elevating our building up just a little bit to give it a little bit more presence, so that from the, from this point on this walkway, it's actually a couple of feet from here up to the building. And that's one of the reasons why we, brought the plantings all the way around to, kind of give it that presence.
Any other questions from the board? Or any comments or questions from the public?
I don't know what I am.
Jen, you have
Am I
one?
the public? I think I'm the public. So I guess it'll just be a little tricky. Does the board feel comfortable creating a condition about the easement on the parking to say before issuance of the zoning permit, that it's approved, but before I issue the zoning permit, they'll get the easement in place? Is that how you want to do this?
Yep,
Sure.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And could I just it's just an easement for, there's, wondering if there's any specific, there shouldn't be any specific language, it's for the,
The parking spaces.
yeah, in part, because his parcel, Brian's parcel is defined with this dashed line, so that some of the parking is, just to be clear, some of the parking that we're developing is outside of Brian's, MU3 lot. So that's what the easement's about.
And then hopefully the easement will also allow you to do the landscaping that's shown on the plan.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I move approval of the proposal with the condition Jennifer just outlined.
It's moved and
Is that gonna be
seconded.
okay with the association that you don't have the building permit yet? You have the
Yeah.
DRB, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, good.
I just wanted to have the
The approval.
go ahead here. and then
Right.
We'll present back the easement and then.
All right, that sounds good then.
Can someone help me with this red line that appears somewhat at a triangle point that comes out the bank and comes out the, what is that? What is that? Is that where the state right-of-way starts?
No, that's a water line.
That is a water line.
I think so. Water or sewer. I don't remember which.
So whose parcel of land is this triangle right here? Is that state land?
To which direction?
This, right here, this triangle between the bank and,
It says Sylvia P. Southwick?
Nope, the
You
one,
mean this one here?
yeah, who,
Common
yeah,
area.
It's theirs,
it's there?
yeah.
it's common area. There's these little lots, like his lot, that are,
Okay.
you know, that are in the middle of this cookie dough of common area that's still owned by Middlebury South Village LLC.
Right.
So that's
It's-
what's creating the need for them to get these easements for things.
Right.
It's association land, common area, yeah. Is the association on the interior circulation as well?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
David made the motion, please.
Ruth, second.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Great, thank you all.
Very much.
So are these our friends from Cornwall? I figured it out finally. I was like, who is that?
I'm actually his better half.
Oh, okay, perfect. So, Brian.
Brian's better half.
Brian, that,
Hey, Byron.
Yeah.
This is Byron from Cornwall. They're thinking about starting a DRB, so.
He's a
Bruce.
spy.
Watch you guys in action.
Bruce Byers.
Buyers.
I'm here
Bruce Byers.
Bruce Byers. All right, I was close.
Yeah.
I do the best I can.
That's okay.
I'm so unforgiving. I try, Ruth. Really, I do.
Okay. Next item, deliberative session, if needed, none needed. Other business.
Please, painless. I can think of.
We have another
The
meeting?
next meeting will be March 14. There's 4 things for that meeting so far.
What are they?
Let's see if I can remember. I just wrote it today. One is down on 3 Mile Bridge Road. There's a woman who she got a subdivision all approved, but her surveyor never recorded. Is the camera off?
No. Still
Right.
going.
Well, I'll complain about the surveyor public. The surveyor never recorded her plat, so the subdivision approval expired in 180 days. So she has to come in and get it reapproved because she has a deal she's trying to work out with Trout Unlimited, and so the 14th was the soonest I could get her in here. But so it's just a reapproval of a previous subdivision from I think 2013.
Yeah, I remember.
Um,
You know where that is?
Turning Point Center, they're looking to possibly relocate their offices to 91 Court Street, so they need a conditional use approval
They're currently in the Marble Works, right?
in the Marble Works now. Yep.
Where's 91 Court?
Pardon me?
Where's 91 Court? Who would
I'm
that
trying to
be?
think.
It's not as far as McIntyre's. It's like further. I gauge everything associated with where I get gas. I don't know. I have a limited understanding of. I don't know. It's before the gas station.
91 is where the dentist's office used to be, I believe.
It's on the east side of the road.
It's vacant now.
Okay.
I don't remember the other two off the top of my head.
Is that it?
Are you casting about for a motion to adjourn, or is that already been made?
No, it hasn't.
That's what we're looking for.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.